start. Right, we have two files. One's an STL file, one's a SCAD file. The STL file can be sent to a 3D printer like Prusa Slicer and printed. The SCAD file generates the STL file. So if we load that up into Prusa Slicer, we can see got the STL file here and the object it contains. Right, let's delete that. What we want to do is regenerate the STL file. So what do? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open this up with the text editor. Here is my text editor. So this text editor is this file. So the first thing it talks about is a standard declaration. It tells you the code, the standard, and the grade of the programming language. So os+++.org is the framework, 2022 standard is the dialect, and the user grade is prehistoric. Basically, that means that this is really old code, and I was tempted to see whether it actually worked. And it does, which is pretty cool. The instructions for this framework can be found here, but we don't care about that. We want to render this model. Quite nicely up a little thing here that says how to render this model. So, let's get started. The first thing it asks you to do is install openscad.org. All right, this is the binaries of the system. So basically we go to the website, open up openscad.org, click on download, and we can download Linux, Unix, or MS Windows. Because I'm running Linux, I can actually get something called an app image, and an app image is basically the whole of OpenSCAD as one file. All I need to do is I need to go into Properties, click on Permissions, and allow it to be executable. All right. So if I open it up, I can now open my examples, and we have exactly the same file again, the same header, and the same helpful intro on how to render it. So we've installed our OpenSCAD binaries. The next thing we need to do is download the OS framework. And to do that, you need to go to code.org or os++.org. I put a nice little link here, or you can go directly to the download page here, and then it talks about just clicking the download icon here. All right. So here's the website. So to download the framework, you can click here or click here, and away you go. Once you do click here or click there and save it, you should get this. This is one of 3 tarbles. This particular one has been compressed with LRZ, which is a really good compression. It's really, really fast, as in it's really, really small and therefore fast to download. We've also got 2 other compression, GZ and Z. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up with my archiver. It takes a little while. And I'm going to extract it. Okay. So we now have a new subdirectory, which has come from the download, and we've got a welcome message. I'm going to go into the welcome message at the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight into the framework. We've got a whole bunch of files. Now these files, these are all user files. Not actually part of the framework itself, literally just examples. So there's an example, there's an example, and there's an example. This particular file here is just a great big long list of different examples, and what it does is it shows you how to use the language as a way of learning and a way for me to unit test the code. So if I go here to here and I delete all these, all my user files are gone, and it's nice and bare and ready to be used. The actual framework itself are all in the zlib, and what you'll see is you've got cones, cuboids, spheres, and it's all loaded up by this particular file called os++ and then a date. So I'm going to take my source, I'm going to take my openscad binaries, I'm going to take this file, copy it, and we're going to put it in this subdirectory. Okay, so to recap, here's the model that I want to render and export as an STL file. Here are the openscad binaries as a app image, and we've got two other files which I'll go into later, and then finally we've got the actual OS++ framework. So if we open this up with openscad, we're back to our little list of things to do. So we've installed openscad, we've downloaded the framework, we've uncompressed it, put it into our own home directory, whatever that's going to be called. We've copied the file into the root of that subdirectory, and we've opened it up. And the next thing we need to do is press F6 or F5. Right. So if we press F5, we get like a quick image, and if I press F6, we actually compile it properly, or render it properly, as I call. Now, if you look at the, while we wait for it to compile, you can see that there is a whole load of information in the console. If I control that up, go file new. This is what I found in the console. You'll see that it's loaded up a single file called zlib os++ 2022 October 31st, and it loads up a specific version of the cuboids and a specific version of the cone and a specific version of the sphere. The idea is that will always load these versions. So once it's tested, it should always work forever, which is what I was basically trying out. You've also got a little help, which will give you some information about the specific library if you've done what I've done and deleted all the cheat sheets and help in the subdirectory. Anyway, back here, we've now compiled it. All we need to do, export as an STL. It's been exported. We now have rebuilt the STL file from the SCAD file. Job done. Awesome. Well, not quite. One of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to use this app image, and I had a couple of problems with it. If I open up the app image, rather than doing open with and use the downloaded and installed version, I was trying to use the app image. Anyway, when I opened it up, it seemed to work all right. Clicked open, loaded it up, all good, everything's running, hit F6, and I got an error message in the console. Right, what's going on here? There we go. Warning, can't open file, blah, 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 blah. Right, if we actually go back into my list, I've actually documented this. What I've said here, if you've not copied the OSS file into the correct directory, well, clearly I have, because it worked the first time, so it must be in the right place. Okay, still not working, and Zimmer is in the right place, which it is. All right, then it starts talking about this openscad path, and a bit of code, and gives us a HTML reference to look at. All right, if I go into the help, library info, I will find that this particular variable is not set up. It's a bit of a bugger. So, what to do? Well, I went to the website and it explained all about library locations and how to get it working on Windows, Linux, or Mac. What I did was created this little shell program, and all it does is it exports the variable using the command pwd, and the output of pwd will simply give the current subdirectory I'm in. So basically it will make this variable whatever path I'm in at the time, and then run the app image. To prove it works, open, press F6, get a little hello. There we go. There is my file all redone, and it's working lovely. So I was pretty happy with that. Let's close it down. So as I said, as a recap, here's the SCAD file, which is the source of the model. Here's the STL, which I can then load into my Prusa slicer. This is the openscad binaries, and this is the OS++ framework. And that is that. Okay, awesome.